India and China do not have an easy relationship. They've got disputed border issues, they've had those forever. They kind of have clashes with each other. But the way the United States has hit India with very high tariffs mean that, Modi, the Prime Minister of India, and Xi Jinping actually have a common cause now.
Now, Vladimir Putin has thanked India and China for their support and what he calls their efforts to resolve the Ukrainian crisis. The Russian leader made the comments at a summit in the Chinese city of Tianjin. He's met publicly with China's Xi Jinping and the Indian leader Narendra Modi, and the Russian ally and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un is also on his way, travelling there by train. Well, let's catch up with all of these goings on by talking to Professor Kerry Brown, who's the director of the Lau China Institute at King's College London, also a former diplomat at the British Embassy in Beijing. Professor Brown, a very good afternoon from us. This summit, how long has it been a thing?
Well, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which I think this is part of, has existed for about a quarter of a century. It was set up actually under a previous leader, Jiang Zemin, I think in the 1990s, right at the end, to create a sort of separate kind of collection of powers which were not aligned with the United States and Western powers. So it's existed for a long time. It usually focuses on Central Asia. It's expanded over the years. India's involvement has sort of been variable, but certainly for Russia and China, this has been one of the key kind of multilateral entities that they have their discussion in, and has been increasingly important, obviously, in the last few years as their relationship has grown closer.
It's been dubbed the anti-NATO summit. Would you agree with that epithet for it?
I think it's really an anti kind of US-led world kind of setup. I mean, I don't mean that in
anti-world. It's quite a stance.
Well, no, anti-US-led world.
Yeah,
I mean, I mean, China does subscribe to a lot of the multilateral kind of architecture of globalization, particularly economically. I mean, UN, all this stuff. Yeah, it's involved in all of that. But I think it kind of felt a lot of this didn't give it a voice to talk to people of a kind of more similar mind to it. And so, it set this up with others to kind of give it space to do that, because on lots of things, it does not see eye to eye with the United States and the alliance system around it. But it's not necessarily anti. I mean, at the moment, of course, there's so many issues that it looks like it's almost, everything is against what the US is proposing. But in many ways, it was sort of really focusing on geographies and areas where it didn't really feel that the US was kind of particularly interested or doing a great deal, and where China had strategic interest. And Central Asia is obviously very, very important to China. I'm not saying it's unimportant to the US and its alliances, but it's certainly something that matters to China. I have to say also that, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has not always been an easy thing for Russia to deal with, because it regards Central Asia, obviously, as an area of its strategic interest. And for China to have a role there has often been something it's been very suspicious about. So I don't think it's entirely a happy kind of combination of all these different countries. But at the moment, because of the issues around the United States, all of them have a kind of common cause that they didn't even have a year ago in what to do with the tariffs and all of the other things that America is chucking at them.
Will anything realistically come out of this meeting that should make Donald Trump shake a bit more in his trousers?
Well, I think the fact that India is embracing this is interesting. I mean, India and China do not have an easy relationship. They've got disputed border issues, they've had those forever. They kind of have clashes with each other. But the way the United States has hit India with very high tariffs mean that, Modi, the Prime Minister of India, and Xi Jinping actually have a common cause now, very surprisingly. And so that's one thing, the deeper relationship between India and China, that might be really significant going forward. The other is, what is China going to say to Russia about the ongoing war it's waging against Ukraine? again, China is not completely, supportive of Russia. It's supportive because it doesn't want NATO to walk out of this saying that they've won. But on the other hand, it doesn't want Russia to, engage in a perpetual war when China has many other issues that it regards as more important to it. In particular, how to manage the trade relationship with the United States, which is the looming issue. And presumably Xi Jinping and Donald Trump will meet either later this year or early next to try and do what Trump calls a big deal.
Yeah, and Xi has urged those present to oppose Cold War mentality, bloc confrontation and bullying. He's gone on to say we must uphold the international system with the UN at its core and support the international trading system with the WTO at its core. He couldn't be putting it any more plainly, but as we've so often seen, Professor Brown, the way that that's interpreted by Trump, and those are definitely statements, aren't they, that are aimed at America, he can just kind of glide over that, say on the day that he likes Xi Jinping, thinks he's a great guy, or turns against him and doesn't think he's a great guy. I mean, is there really something different happening now in those statements being made publicly?
Well, I think China is obviously taking advantage of the very difficult place the United States has put itself in. And it's trying to say we're the globalists, we're the multilateralists, we're not the problem, the United States is. So it's taking an opportunity. People can agree or disagree with that, but China is taking that opportunity. It is, you're right, it is very strange. Mr. Trump has said pretty harsh things about almost every leader, apart from Mr. Putin and Mr. Xi Jinping, who he says nothing but nice things about. I mean, Xi Jinping, he often says I think he said a couple of years ago, he's a great guy. He's a very handsome man. Yeah. He said he was a very fine looking man. It's very strange. I mean, China in this whole process since Trump's inauguration has not seemed to be in a great hurry to have a big summit. I said they might, Trump and Xi, meet either this year or early next. It's not decided yet. I mean, it's likely to be later this year, maybe at the G20. We don't know. But in any case, it seems that China feels, okay, we can deal with this. We're not going to back down for domestic and obviously international reasons from what can appear to be the United States weaponizing its own economy.
Can we also talk about the arrival of North Korea's Kim Jong-un? A welcome guest, an embarrassing addition. What does he bring to the party?
Yeah, so this is a new thing. He doesn't usually come to these. And so it's interesting. North Korea is not an easy partner for China. They're socialist brothers in arms or sisters in arms, whatever you want to call it. But, they kind of definitely don't see eye to eye on many, many issues. That he is coming is partly, I think, because China does expect solidarity at the moment against the United States and all of the issues that it is facing. But also, secondly, because North Korea is finally emerging from the huge restrictions they placed during the pandemic 5 years ago, but now just beginning to relax a bit and open up a bit. And obviously looking at very severe economic issues. China is critical to that. And also because North Korea has played an active role in the Russia-Ukraine war by fighting on behalf, apparently, of the Russians, sending, soldiers. So this is a whole new dynamic. It's not entirely clear if China is particularly happy about that, but this is the point where Kim, Putin and Xi Jinping can sit in the room and kind of have some sort of dialogue with each other that works out whether they're coming from the same place.
Yeah, it is quite some meeting, isn't it? Thank you very much indeed for your insight. That's Professor Kerry Brown, Director of the Lau China Institute at King's College London.